Hello and welcome to this lecture. So this lecture and couple of lectures from now will be about the Whale framework. So Whale framework is the type of framework which will give us a payload or a backdoor in which this client machine can communicate with the client, which will be our window machine. So what we do is normally we use that payload which is untraceable by any antiviruses. We'll just make that changes on that payload so that no antiviruses will just track our payload, and we'll just inject that to the client machine, and the client machine will just came back to us on the certain port, and basically we'll just listen on that port from this Kali machine, and client will communicate through that port on the server, which will be our Kali machine. So first of all, let's see how to just install that Whale framework, and in the next lecture we'll just make that payload from the Whale framework. We'll also listen on the some port, and we'll just get complete reverse TCP connection or reverse HTTP connection from the client to the Kali machine. So that will be covered in the next lecture, but for now let's see how we can just install that Whale framework on our Kali machine. So steps are very simple. So first of all, what you need to do is open your browser, and here make sure that you have internet connection, and I'll just say Whale framework. So this is the Whale framework. Let's open that GitHub link which is right here. So I'll just open that link and you'll just get this Whale evasion link. So let me just go to this Whale, and you'll just get this link now, and you could see here that is saying clone or a download. So you can just grab it, and let me just copy that link. And now what you need to do is go to the places over here, and if you just remember from the Linux lecture, what I have told you about this directory is basically if you install any of the optional third parties program, you can just install that on this out folder, but this is not compulsory, but it is always a good practice to install over here. And you could see we have this bunch of applications right here, and I have already installed the Whale, but I'll just show you how to install it here. So first of all, in the optional directory, let me just open over here, that is a terminal, and in order to just clone that, you can simply say something like git clone and paste the link over there. So you have to paste and hit enter. It is going to download all of the folders, all of the file that is available for this Whale framework. So after that, you can just have this folder that it is saying Whale, and open that folder now, and you will see all of these folder that will be inside there. So this is automatically downloaded by this git, and now you can go to this config, and this contains all the libraries, all the set of files, and basically we can do every configuration from this config folder. But you can see that we have this whale.py. So if you simply open that terminal, and in order to run that Python file, this is executable. So if I just list over here, you could see that it is basically the green color. So the application is showing that it is executables. So in order to just execute that file, all you need to do is simply put this command and whale.py. But in this case, this is not going to execute for us because Whale requires bunch of libraries, bunch of third-party library. So that library will be not installed now for you, but in my case it is installed. So in your case it will just show you a problem. So first of all, what you need to do is go to this config folder, and here let me list, and you could see here saying setup.sh. So make sure that you have internet connection. So in order to run this file again, you have to put this command first, or basically you can also type sh and setup.sh. So you can do in any way. You can also do with this command and setup.sh in order to run these executables. So if you hit enter, you have to maybe wait for a couple of minutes. So it will take more time than any application because this is going to download a lot of libraries for us. So that is very much important libraries, and without that library, this Whale framework is not going to work. So you have to just sit back and relax because this is going to take a lot of time. If you have that is low internet connection, then you have to just maybe wait for maybe a 30 minutes. So let's just relax and just wait until it we'll just execute this command and get all of these library fetched, unpacked and installed on your Kali machine. So after you install everything, it will now just go back because we have to run this val.py. So if you list now, you will have this val.py, and I've already shown you this is the way to run this file. So now if I hit enter, then it is going to show us something like this. So you could see this is our Val framework, and now you have successfully installed Val framework. So the simple step is basically going into this config folder and just running that is the command, which is going to just give us this installation for the setup, and just wait for some moment. It will just download every packages, and you can now run this Val framework with this command, and you will get this terminal showing that is the version and the wave and everything over here. And you could see we have these two tools loaded. One is evasion and another is ordnance, and basically evasion is what we are going to use because the Val evasion is going to give us a lot of a payload, but this ordnance is basically something that supports that payload. So it is a auxiliary payload. Ordnance is something like a payload, but it is going to work with the payload, and we are going to make a complete reverse shell with the help of evasion, and we are going to use the MSF console, which is the meterpreter generator, or basically the application that is going to listen on the SOM port, so that we'll just get connection of the client and server. We can also just implement this backdoor on the Python, and we'll just learn that in the next couple of section book, because we have to first cover the basic of the Python, and after we cover that, we'll just make how to just basically how to create that backdoor that we just saw in this Val with our complete Python code. We'll saw that in the next lecture, or basically not next lecture, in the next couple of section after. And now in the next lecture we are going to make the payload with the help of Val framework, and we'll see how to just execute that payload, how to deliver that payload to the client, and how to execute over there, and how to get that reverse shell and communication back from the client to the Kali Linux, so that no firewall will catch us and our payload will be very much advanced payload. So this will be wrap for this lecture. See you in the next one.